Don't know us, you don't belong. We're not gonna take it. No, we ain't gonna take it. We're not gonna take it anymore. All right, folks. Gotta love me some Twisted Sister, back in the 80s. Oh, yeah, that was awesome. Anyway, we just keep that nice and short. Plenty of stuff to talk to you today. Going to give you a rundown of what's going on, what we're going to be doing. And gosh, it's crazy. Some of the stuff that's been coming out lately and learning more about some of the other candidates that are out there. We know that one is just a non-player completely and totally, which no one's really worried about. And there's a number of others that, the other three that are remaining. We're still waiting to find out some stuff, but I'll get into that here in a second. So we'll give that a few minutes here, a minute or so. Great Trump rally last night. There you go. Hey, Carol and Pat. Good to see y'all. Dwayna's in the house. Hello, hello. Hey, Carlene. Good to see you. Okay, let's go back over to here. So let's get started. Let's see. All right. We got the entire LD family and her son Clark. He's a cadet, and really awesome for young people to get a chance to do what he's doing right now. And I know he's going to do a great job. It'll make him prepare him to be a better man, and that's awesome. I love that. So anyway, welcome, Lions. For the uninitiated, I'm Paul Romero, candidate for Oregon governor. The new chair of the Constitution Party of Oregon, that's Lucian Blancett, he filed a complaint last week that shows the Secretary of State Elections Division manager that she failed to do a thorough investigation and neglected statements that had been sent to her but were not ever acknowledged. So in a nutshell, Alma Whalen's ruling from our case number that we won, 22-046, noted the failure of the CPO officers to abide and perform in accordance with Oregon Statute 248.012 and 248.009. Now, non-notification of steering committee members for their August 6th meeting and non-notification of CPO members, once again, for their bylaws vote, negates all business on the August 6th meeting, which includes their attempt to change the bylaws in a way they thought would help them. By the way, they did not address all the issues that the Secretary of State the Elections Division, Alma Whalen, actually put in that ruling on 22-046. So they had a bylaw meeting, but didn't actually address all the issues in the ruling. Not very bright. So basically, this also negates their other meetings, including the ones in different counties on the 18th and 19th of August. They didn't send their mailed notifications to all members. They did only send it to certain counties, and also apparently to only what they considered active members. That's another problem. So that, along with their two published announcements and statewide papers, is not enough to really accommodate the minimum requirements. Now, the result at a minimum should be the removal of their nominees and the return to our original steering committee members, again, based on the May 20th, right? The day before all this stuff went down. This will happen again. Then there is the question whether they will honor our legal members organizational meeting and national nomination convention. This would mean that the recall of the guilty CPO officers would stand, that the newly elected CPO officers stands, the new bylaws stand, and by the way, they address all the issues of the Secretary of State's Elections Division ruling on the 22-046. And then also our legal nominees will be on the ballot. Now, part of the remedy that we requested in the course of this complaint was that our candidates' statements all go into the voter's guide due to the deputy director violating our civil rights when he refused to accept our on-time submission of voter's guide petition signatures. Now, if any part or all of that fails to come to pass, then we are already engaged in a write-in campaign for House District 1 candidate Caleb Abel, Congressional District 4 candidate Thomas Zoll, U.S. Senate candidate Michael Stetler, and Governor candidate, yours truly, Paul Romero. So that's going to be the thrust of it. We're beginning this write-in campaign now, whether basically it kind of sets us up for everything else, whether we end up on the ballot or not. But the one thing I will tell you is this: when it comes time for the court, the actual court, the appeals court and all that, we have plenty of time to get that done, first submitted. Once that happens, the victory against the Secretary of State will be very easy because, well, it's all outlined. All the evidence is there, video evidence, the whole 9 yards. So we'll win. The problem is that court case won't even start for 60 days from the time it's filed. That presents a bit of a problem because, of course, the election will be over and remedy will be very, well, interesting. So now, the question I have for all of you is this: do you have true resolve? Right? Now, one of the things I can say is that the 4 candidates that we have that I've just mentioned here for the write-in deal, these 4 candidates have resolve. They are committed to this. Now, we are looking for others with that kind of resolve, and I know that many of you have it, and I'm confident of that. You show up here, you share information, you're asking for information to share, you're doing all the things you should be doing. And the next step, like I said, it's going to be a full grassroots push for the write-in candidacy. So one of the things we found that actually works really good is writing these things on your car window with the vehicle window paint. And just make sure you spell the names correctly. And that way people can take a nice picture of what's on your window. But basically putting it down for November 2022, I'm writing in such name for governor, name for U.S. Senate, name for CD4, name for House District 1. And put it out there. I mean, that's what we're going to do. Other people are already doing this. And people are like, who are these people? We've never heard of them. What's going on? These are the grassroots candidates that Oregon needs to turn the state around. So, one of the questions I get asked a lot is, how do you see people's potential? And as part of it's investigation, talking to them, just having a conversation. But the fact is this: the question really comes down to this for all of us. Do you value your own potential? Do you have value? Well, the first is a question only you can answer. Okay? Do you value your potential? But you can always change it. And as for the second, yes, we all have value. I myself value my potential, which gives me this appearance of absolute bravery to step forward and do what I can. Think along the lines of karaoke. How many of you have stood up in front of a bunch of strangers and sang your favorite song, even if your singing skills were less than satisfactory? And perhaps it took a little liquid courage, but the fact that you did step up there and do it says something about yourself. You took a chance. Outcome be damned. In this life, you have one chance to live it. So will you live it in fear or boldness? Remember, you can't be brave and show courage without fear. It's that potential to overcome fear and adversity and obstacles that people rally to. This is what the best leaders are made of. They appear fearless, but the fact is, no, there's fear, but they overcome it. And when they do that, that actually instills a little bit more spine in the people around them because they feel that, you know what, I don't know who this guy is, but there's something about him. I feel like we do follow this guy. We're going to survive this. It is the core of a true leader who creates a gravitational pull of others who in turn help create a greater gravitational pull. That's why I keep telling people, no matter what it is you do, if you really want to be successful in life, pretty much anything you do needs to be kind of a team effort. You're always going to have certain people that will rise to the top and really step out there on their own. But the fact is to build that team around you that just allows you to have the most awesome success. The best part is you get to share that success. And that's awesome. And no, that is not socialism. Okay? Having a common goal, rallying to that goal, and then accomplishing it is something that everybody gets to share in. And they take pride and personal ownership in that. It's really a pretty awesome feeling. Now, I meet people all the time who don't recognize their potential, or they discount it offhand. They just, no, I could never do that. But when I witness this, it's kind of disheartening to me. But it doesn't detract from my own recognized potential or inspiration from others. So we cheer and applaud politely if the person doing the karaoke isn't too good. And we do that with volume if they are good. But by making small efforts consistently, we can achieve great things. I suppose the key to great things also has a lot to do with the life experience and education you achieve along the way. But don't expect to be an airline pilot with no ground school, right? Sometimes you got to do the time. You got to go put in the study hours and stuff to actually achieve and be successful in certain arenas. Now, you've seen candidates go through their resume, and to be honest, I did that in the very beginning when I first ran for office. I thought that's what people wanted to know, my successes, what I've been through specifically in my life for jobs, for education, and all that. And what I learned in reality, people really just want to know what you're going to do, how and in what time frame. There's the fundamentals that you got to be intelligent enough. You have to be able to speak well. You have to be good on your feet. You have to be able to answer the questions. And, they're basic skills, but anybody can learn these. But that's how it goes. So in reality, like I said, people just want to know what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and in what time frame. This is where being a successful project manager comes into play. In battle and extraordinary circumstances, character is first exposed, but over time, it can grow and develop into something better. I mean, even a coward can become brave and eventually a hero. That's the reality. And every once in a while, some people they're just in that situation. They make a decision, snap decision, and they are automatically that hero because of what they did. And a lot of times, they don't even like being called heroes because they just feel like they were just in the right place at the right time and they did the right thing. Sometimes they feel it's just pure luck. But the thing is, I also think there's an underlying courage factor. There's an underlying commitment to other people, even though they may not have recognized it themselves before. That potential of stepping up and stepping into the path of whatever's happening to maybe change the outcome. So as I continue my efforts to run for governor of Oregon, it is not from a sense of ego, narcissism, self-aggrandizement, or pride. It is from a sense of need, frustration, anger. Yet these efforts have brought a sense of focus, commitment, and peace. And that sometimes just freaks me out because with all I have to deal with, and then I feel at peace, it's like, okay, I'm very confident I'm on the right track, whatever it is I'm doing. So that's kind of one way for me to know if I'm doing right. Because there's times when I didn't feel at peace and I had to shift gears. Once I did, the peace came. So the fact is this, many of you probably feel the very same way. So what is different is what action you are going to take. You know my action and direction, and all I'm looking for are those Oregonians who want to join me in whatever way to help restore our Oregon. We are still waiting on the Secretary of State's Elections Division for a response to the last complaint with new evidence and evidence they ignored that was submitted by the new CPO Chair, Lucian Blancett. Now, by law, a positive result should be imminent, but considering that people within that office have been actively engaged in the prevention of specific candidates from making the ballot, well, therein lies the rub. You may have heard that we have engaged a write-in campaign for Caleb, Thomas, Michael, and myself. And it's, like I said, it's a backup as we can't allow the opposition to infringe any further on our limited time. We have 2 months right now, 2 months to make this campaign go viral throughout the state. And so whatever methods we have, social media, we have flyers to be put out, anything at all, social media, people's websites, their own lives that they do, talking to people in their church, talking to your friends, your family, and get the word out. Because if people really want to save Oregon, this is the only option they may have. Now, we're hoping that by the 8th, we will know if we're going to be on the ballot or not. The hope is that they will repair this and do it correctly, because if not, they just open the whole Secretary of State to an awful lot of lawsuits that we can win with the evidence that exists, and also past precedent. So that's a good thing. The downside is time-wise, it doesn't help us, not immediately. So that's what we're going to do. So we're also speaking with a number of people that can actually help fund this particular campaign. And yes, I have to go sell it to them. I have to show them our trend line of why we can win this. And with X amount of dollars and all the signage we're going to put throughout the state and the commercials we're going to do, whether it's radio or television, this is the way for us to accomplish it. And that's where everybody comes in. This is an all hands on deck. Anybody who truly wants to save Oregon, it is time to rise. And we're excited about this. I get more people over the last week or so that told me that no matter what happens, they're still going to write me in. Like, wow, well, thank you. And the thing I want to specify to everybody is make sure people are writing the right name. Just Paul Romero is fine. Thomas Zoll, Caleb Abel, Michael Stetler. These will be the names for these different offices. Okay, so just let you know, in the fact that recalled Jack Brown, Robert Ekstrom, and Roger Shipman, they all contributed in the illegal selection of candidates who were all registered Republicans and voted in the Republican primary. Okay? So we see that the uniparty controlled opposition is in full effect. Jack and them, they were concerned about a hostile takeover of their party. They've literally set up and allowed an actual Republican takeover of their party. So who are they really? Who are they really working for? We recently found out that Donna Smith, her husband, is a Mason. Well, that's interesting, don't you think? Yeah, we found it interesting. And there's also a question about Jack Brown. But again, it's always amazing the stuff that creeps out and leaks out, but it's all there. You just got to be searching for it. So, but when these less than fine gentlemen took their fascism one step further, by not only violating multiple state laws, but by violating their fiduciary and contractual obligations precipitated by their officer positions within the nonprofit Constitution Party of Oregon organization. Now, you heard me use the word fascism. See, anytime someone is preventing you from speaking, preventing you from defending yourself, preventing you from voting, preventing you from your basic civil rights, that is an act of fascism. Okay? And they prevented their membership from voting in multiple primary elections for over 20 years. We're not talking about just now. It's been going on for years. And this type of control is serious fascist action. And they largely do it under the label of God. That somehow Jack Brown is actually above God's law because Lord knows he doesn't follow it. Now, he is a dictator, he's a tyrant, and a violator of our civil rights. That is Jack Brown to the core. His and the actions of others to prevent the participation of CPO members will be judged by man and by God. They and others have stolen the voice of the people by their actions. And we have worked to restore the voice of the people and will continue to do so. And we're going to win. Something I've talked about and I've shown y'all is this right here. I want to make sure I get this in the shot here. Why can I tell you what to do? It is. That's this little brochure that Jack Brown is so proud of. And an essay on the source of authority by Jack Allen Brown Jr. What's remarkable when you read this is that, he gives good quotes that are from things that basically let us know that, what is right in our Constitution, but then the way he kind of manipulates it, it's just classic manipulation, trying to get you to understand why this authority falls to the leaders and they decide for the rest of us. Well, that's for tyrannies and for dictatorships. And apparently Jack Brown may have forgotten all that stuff from his high school education. And Lord knows they don't teach that in our current high school education. But these are the things we get to deal with. So let's see. Let's go back here. I'll finish to answer some questions here. Now, let's see, what page am I at here? So 14. Let me get up here. Okay, so understand something real quick. Saw a question from Naomi. Okay, so, that's awful sweet, Carol. Thank you. Hey, Dina, we got Loma in the house too. Yeah, state courts are corrupt. There's an element of that problem too. But the key is you have to bombard them with so much facts, so much statements, so much truth, and the law outline it for them that they literally can't. They become too exposed. So that's important. So Naomi says, if you aren't on the ballot, where there'll be no candidate on the ballot for the Constitution Party. Now, here's the possibility. The possibility is that Secretary of State, it's become very apparent that they don't want me and a few other people. They don't want us on the ballot at all. They know that would be a problem because they know we'd have a better chance of winning. So they're literally making it as difficult as they possibly can. They are literally, this is undue influence on a candidate or a candidacy. And Secretary of State's Elections Division office is in full, they are affecting that. And they're doing it on purpose. So what's going to happen is this. I think the first thing they're going to have to do, because see, in that August 6th meeting, they didn't notify all the steering committee members. The steering committee members that had been removed during those little secret meetings, well, after the ruling, all of them get put back. Okay, that's good. The downside is that when they sent out their notifications, number one, they did send them out about 12 hours late for a full 6 days. But that's kind of, 6 one way, half dozen the other. It's kind of weird how that works. To me, a day is 24 hours. If it's supposed to be 6 days before the actual event, it better be 6 24-hour periods of time between the time you sent it or longer to the actual meeting. And it was short. But the other issue is that you still have to send those invitations to all members. They didn't do that. There was 2 members they neglected, Michael Stetler and Shane Gamble. Now, they'd already tried to recall them, but like I said, all the business of those meetings was negated by the Secretary of State Elections Division, as stated in the case number 22-046. So by them not notifying them, that means whatever they did doesn't exist. Their bylaw changes, everything doesn't exist. So it changes a lot of things. And then the potential then is that the Secretary of State will have to, based on the first ruling on 046, they're going to have to rule the same way on the second batch. They don't really have a choice. They're stuck. The thing is, they don't want me to be on that ballot. It's just the way it is, guys. And so it'll be determined by who kind of leans on them the most. And we're trying to get a few people in the legislature to actually go in there and say, okay, what the frick are you guys doing? They have way more pull than we do, so they have the information in their hands. They know the truth. They know the rules. They know the results. They have the statements. And we're just waiting on that ruling, which we're not going to get any information until Tuesday. So we got to wait for that. Yep, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday is the last day for them to make any changes for the printing of the ballots and the voters' guides. So we'll see. So there's a possibility they may do nothing, which really puts them in a really bad spot legally. Number 2, they can remove all their nominees, but not acknowledge ours. That's a possibility, although, again, they'll lose in court in that regard too. Or they'll remove those, put us on the ballot like they should, and basically just step back, and that's the best way for them to correct themselves. And once that happens, well, then we're off to the races again anyway. But no matter what, we're still doing the right-in candidacy. Now, I've had people tell me, "Oh no, you're gonna split the vote." Oh gosh, people, come on. No, we're not. Nobody in Oregon wants to, first of all, if Donnis was actually on the ballot, not even her own people want to vote for her. Okay? That's the reality. All her lives, all her statements, all the things she posts, puts out, wherever, gets no likes, maybe a few watches, views, and that's it. Nobody shares her stuff at all. She's dead on arrival in regard to this election. So it's a waste, but the only purpose for her was a filler to prevent me from being the nominee in the Constitution Party. That's a fact. So the next thing is the other 3 candidates. And I've had a couple people ask me for kind of like cheat sheets on each one so they can have it. Say, well, look, here, read this. Here, read this. This is the factual information. So here's what we've done. We have one for Betsy. It's a page long, and there's more to add. So I'm going to shrink down the text. We're going to add that. We have one for Christine Drazen that we're adding a few more things to that we just found out. And then same thing with Tina Kotek. It's like shooting fish in a barrel of fish. That's kind of how that is right now. And that is really kind of awesome. Now, we're going to continue on with some other things I want to cover. something I want to make sure you guys, and I know you've heard it, and a lot of you understand this. We are a constitutional republic. We are not a democracy. Okay. The ideal of a democracy is universal equality, while the ideal of a constitutional republic is individual liberty. Now, democracy always generates or degenerates into a dictatorship, which promises government guaranteed equality and security, but delivers nothing but poverty and enslavement of the people that it robs and it rules. Now, the United States of America was founded as a constitutional republic to safeguard our liberties, our freedom, and sovereignty. And this is also to guard against the tyranny of democracy or of a one-man dictatorship. Now, we have witnessed many great strides towards tyrannical democracy, even within the Constitution Party of Oregon, via Jack Brown, Robert Ekstrom, and Roger Shipman. If you want to know what they support, then be prepared to be shocked. Like I said, Why Can I Tell You What to Do by Jack Brown. It's a socialist manipulation at best. He speaks of we the people, and it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Too bad his actions contradict these statements, as he has been the self-elected chair of the Constitution Party of Oregon for over 14 years, along with Vice Chair Robert Ekstrom, and that the Constitution Party of Oregon is a nonprofit organization and falls under Oregon law, Oregon Revised Statute Chapter 65. That's for nonprofits, and has prevented the party membership from almost 20 years of participation, as required by other Oregon statutes. Well, simply put, Jack Brown is the tyrant of the Constitution Party of Oregon, by taking away and or ignoring the voice of the membership. Again, this is fascism. The goal of subverting our constitutional republic to a democracy comes by the intentional mislabeling of our constitutional republic to a democracy. They are not the same. And sometimes they will change the definition slowly, subtly, like the word fascism. Now, you guys are going to love this one. So Webster's Dictionary, 1999, because I keep a dictionary. Keep a dictionary. Keep an old one, guys, because I'm telling you now, they're trying to redefine words on you without you knowing about it. So fascism, according to the dictionary, is any authoritarian system of government characterized by state economic control, militaristic nationalism, propaganda, and the crushing of opposition. The system of one-party government, okay? Think communist Russia, communist China. No other parties are allowed. It's one party, one rule. They decide everything. The military controls it all. Yeah, you're stuck. You don't get your liberty, freedom, and sovereignty. And anybody who participates in taking away those things from you, well, they're committing acts of fascism. Now this is kind of funny. On the web, as Merriam-Webster's fascism is often capitalized, it says, now this was on, I think it was on Google. The first one that came up was actually a political philosophy, movement, or regime such as that of the fascists that exalts nation and often race above the individual, that stands for a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, severe economic and social regimentation, and forcible suppression of opposition. And it's also part of the definition was a tendency toward or actual exercise of strong autocratic or dictatorial control. Now, although fascist parties and movements will differ significantly from one another, they had many characteristics in common, including the extreme militaristic nationalism, contempt for electoral democracy, political and cultural liberalism. And be careful here, because see, in America, we have an old school liberalism that's actually something we can all get along with, because they believe in free speech. They believe in standing up to the government. But the new liberalism of today is not that. So do not confuse the two. This is an example of hijacking the name liberal, okay? But also a belief in natural social hierarchy and the rule of elites, because they're smarter than us. They're better than all of us. So we should never be put in power. And then the desire to create what they called, people's community. See, it sounds good. Oh, it's for the people. It's for community. Yeah, right. Community that's fully oppressed. It's not good. And the other idea of this whole deal is that individual interests are basically subordinate or sacrificed to the good of the nation. It's never a good thing for anybody. So let's see what Yahoo takes you to first. So when I looked at Yahoo, it came up with a Wikipedia fascism. Fascism is a far-right, authoritarian, ultranationalist political ideology and movement characterized by dictatorial leader, centralized autocracy, militarism, forcible suppression of opposition, belief in a natural social hierarchy, and subordination of individual interest for the perceived good of the nation and race, and strong regimentation of society and the economy. Now, notice the difference between the old definition and a new definition on Wikipedia. Everything is like in line. Everything sounds right, except for the beginning. Called it a far-right, authoritarian, ultra-nationalist. So there's two changes here, far-right and ultra-nationalist. Here's the thing, guys. An America First attitude as Americans, it just makes sense. We're not actually discriminating against anybody within the American society for their color, their sex, their sexual preference, whatever. We don't segregate that. But to take care of America first, which has been Trump's deal, is exactly how our president should behave and act and respond. He represents and takes care, protects us. That's the deal. But the whole fascism, they're trying to label us, the far right, as fascists. No, we will. You come in to take our liberty, freedom, and sovereignty, and we will kick 100% of your backside. And there's a lot of young people that have been taught false information, so that's what they're actually pushing and believing in. Now, we all know the first fascist movements actually happened in World War I, and that was fundamentally in Italy, actually. It was a whole new party, actually. So, but they also had adherents outside of Europe, and they did spread to other European countries, as opposed to anarchism, democracy, pluralism, liberalism, socialism, and Marxism. Fascism is placed on the far right wing. That doesn't make any sense. If anything, it should be on the far left wing. But again, like I said, they're trading off on this stuff. Now, Google actually offered both definitions, but lists the actually correct definition first. So it makes me wonder a little bit about who's running Yahoo, right? So like I said, they've added this caveat descriptor of far right, any way to create some negative connotation for the right. As a matter of observation, they pretty much call everyone on the right the far right. So games with words and definitions, you got to stand your ground. So don't let them make these changes and call them out when you can. Now, under the recalled Constitution Party of Oregon officers, we the people, have experienced a level of fascism under those leaders that will not be tolerated. So be sure to give them a call and voice your objection. Send them an email. Let them hear your complaint. They need to hear from you. If they don't hear from you, they just think they're going to get away and do whatever they want. Fact is, no, they're not going to get away with it at all, but that's going to be over in time. But in the interim, time to turn up the heat. So do your part if at all possible. Now, I'm going to go into something. It's all kind of connected, but we'll see what you think. Do you remember when Bed Bath & Beyond first came on the scene? New business, right? I do. I was actually an investment executive for Payne Weber when its first stock offering came up. And I was actually asked to go and, when they first opened the stores, to go sit in the parking lot and literally over time, hour one, how many people showed up and then left. Hour two, showed up and left, and keep track of this data just to see the interest of the public. And then based on that, we can extrapolate that in an algorithm to determine maybe where the stock is actually headed. And wow, it took off. Well, they had their run, and I'm betting basically that which destroyed countless other businesses and were the supply issues, right? The supply chain issues, and have brought on their demise. A recent announcement of massive store closures to the tune of about 150 Bed Bath & Beyonds by their CFO, Gustavo Arnal. Now, this will be putting a lot of people out of work. But apparently, after he announced this, Gustavo threw himself out of the 18th floor window of the Jenga building in downtown Manhattan on Friday. Now, this was reported by MXM News. Gustavo was 52 years old, and besides the CFO position, he also was the company's executive vice president. But why does someone who made over $2.9 million in 2021, which resulted from a $775,000 salary and stock awards, jumped to his death. Now, according to Daily Mail, Gustavo was being sued for allegedly inflating the Bed Bath & Beyond stock price in a pump and dump scheme. I've actually turned a company in for that, and they all went to jail, by the way. The lawsuit was filed August 23rd and claims that Gustavo agreed to regulate all insider sales and that he misled stockholders by saying the company's financial situation was better off than it actually was. Now, this caused the shares to have a higher artificial price, okay? So the first thing I have to wonder is, I wonder how many other major stocks fall under this same violation, right? Now, what's interesting is this. He managed to sell 42,000 shares of his own stock for $1 million on August 16th, right after he allegedly inflated the price and directly before the massive layoff, which resulted in a 25% drop in stock price. So what that means is that with that drop, in reality, he would only got $750,000 instead of $1 million. So $250,000, was that worth killing yourself over? You could literally go, you know what? I'm sorry I did this. I will buy the stock back at $750,000 for the $250,000 loss and then sell it like anybody else. That's actually a pretty easy fix. We're only talking about $250,000. And in this realm of owning Bed Bath & Beyond, that's nothing. Especially considering how much money he made last year, right? So like many businesses, Bed Bath & Beyond has been plagued by supply chain issues, less overall commercial commerce due to inflation, and then failed predictions on what to stock in your store for consumers. So see, normally you shift gears, you make a plan for recovery and you continue on. So my thought is this guy, did he jump? Did he throw himself out the window, or did someone help him? Well, we know the truth. All I know is this: if you're a millionaire and you're only on the hook for $250,000 in an insider trading type of deal, really, well, let's go look at all the congressmen we have that are guilty of insider trading. Nancy Pelosi, the tune of how many millions and millions of dollars? Give me a break. You know, when we're a country of laws, that is true. But all the laws are supposed to be equally applied to everybody. And with our current Congress, they are not. And this is a problem. And, I think as governor, that's actually something I can actually do something about. So we'll get to that another time. So here's something I know you guys are all pretty aware of, that the Oregon Department of Education, and I learned some things today, but the Oregon Department of Education has recommended the state make big changes to high school graduation requirements, including ending a decades-old requirement to show proficiency in reading, writing, and other skills on top of credit-bearing coursework in those subjects. Can you believe that? They want to lower these things. Now, they are also recommending a requirement that students pass Algebra 1, that the state offer one diploma, not three options, which I don't know what options they're talking about here at this point. And then adding a requirement that students pass a planning course covering financial aid, resumes, and other skills to help them in the future. So they're doing this to figure out whether state graduation standards are unfairly holding some students back, and examine whether state graduation requirements were setting students up for life after high school. They decided that requirements have hurt students of color and needed improvement. Okay. Number one, we don't really have a whole lot of students of color in the state of Oregon. It's just the truth. And number two, did they all of a sudden just decide that they are all not as intelligent or not as capable? That's a pretty racist thing to even suggest. And I'm betting money that's just not true. Okay. But they're talking about lowering the standards to graduate through high school public education. That doesn't help anybody. Already we have students going to college that can't even pass basic English. Okay, they can't read, they can't write. How is it that reducing the minimum requirements help them in college? We're gonna have a whole bunch of students that won't even qualify to get into college because the colleges are saying, "Hey, we're not changing our entrance requirements." They got to have this stuff, and public education has been able to provide that for years. A long time. And it's like they've been steadily reducing that ability. So the other question you have to ask is why? Okay. And the simple truth is this: the bureaucrats, the Democrats especially, they strive to keep children illiterate. It's the truth. All the stats out there show this. Uneducated people are easier to control, to manipulate, and to scam. So when dictators first take over a country, they must subdue the population. They've already slaughtered those who actively fought for their freedom, but in order to maintain control, they must find and eliminate those who might cause trouble in the future. They must eliminate the thinkers. When Pol Pot, the architect of Cambodia's killing fields, wherein he killed like 1.3 million human beings, and he assumed power in 1975, he set about killing anyone who was caught in possession of eyeglasses or wristwatches. Well, I don't have a wristwatch. Sometimes I wear glasses. That can be a problem. But why? Because this meant that you could read and write. You had some level of education. So educated people were thinkers who might communicate with other thinkers and come up with plans to overthrow Pol Pot's regime. Now, here in America, we have Common Core, and that has been the fundamental stepping stone to dumbing down our children. That in league with the teachers' unions, making it easier, making it there's less requirements, less everything. There's still lots of good teachers out there, but they are being throttled. They are being choked out. So we have too many high school graduates that can't read and don't know they don't know their constitutional rights or why they should protect them or even fight for them. And fundamentally, we all know that what they've done is they've been taking control away from the parents and local communities. Now, something I did not know, I thought the Department of Education has been around for a long, long time. It kind of has, but it really hasn't. So basically, the Carter administration, they are the ones that first established the Federal Department of Education in 1979. And ever since, educational levels have steadily declined. Imagine that. And as the new senator from Delaware, Joe Biden, voted to centralize control of education in the D.C. swamp, as his reelection approached, Carter needed the support of powerful leader unions and teacher unions, and giving them this cabinet-level agency ensured their members would fund his reelection and vote for him. Now, what the gal that I know that wrote a big part of this article that I'm kind of reading from, her name's Diane, and she's awesome, by the way, is that the decline in the skills Americans need in life was and is intentional. They are trying to dumb us down. We're way too smart for our britches. So the less educated the populace, the easier we are to control, and bureaucrats are all about control. So even if dumbing down Americans was not the original goal of those bureaucrats and politicians, they are now fully aware that their policies have produced generations less educated than preceding generations, yet have shown little desire to correct this horrible trend. So parents were the first to sound the alarm over the decline in educational standards and have been pushing for school choice for decades. And I fully support school choice. And Republicans have offered some assistance. Now, Democrats have furiously fought back against this, refusing to give up their indoctrination centers. And then the other thing, of course, is keeping Black children on the Democrat plantation. Recently released data revealed reading, writing, and math skills among 9-year-olds dramatically declined the last 2 years. The decline was the worst for Black children, producing an even wider gap between Blacks and other races. Listen, guys, it's not just going to affect people of color. It's going to affect every one of us. And already they've been killing the potential for engineers. You got to have some math. Matter of fact, we have a lot of math. Even in high school, the last course I took, I taught algebra all the way through trigonometry, and then I had pre-calculus, and I also had chemistry, chem physics, and physics. So I had a really good, solid education before I left high school, right here in Oregon, right here in Prineville, Oregon. So don't underestimate or think that public school can't be good enough. It most certainly was, but over time they've been slowly chipping away at it, and we unfortunately have not been paying attention. And now here's where we find ourselves. So, our literacy rates have dropped significantly compared to what they used to be. I mean, there's a time when people didn't really have public education. They had all kinds of ages of students in the same class. Maybe only 5 to 10 people for the whole school. They had way better educations than we are getting now. That's a problem. So let's see. And again, they're going to continue to fight for control over the education. And we have got to take it back. And that means at the school board level, the local level, the county commissioners, uh, the city council, we have to make this effort, guys. We can't sit on the sidelines anymore. So I'm going to go back over here real quick and see what questions I might be missing. Let's move this over here. No, I haven't talked to Lars Larson yet, Dina, but I'm sure we will. Bears won, yay. Okay, Bears. Not sure what you mean. Hey, Jojo. All major cities were constructed by Masons. There are maps that show this, which is why they are governed by Masons and Watchmen. Wouldn't surprise me none, guys. All I know is this: we got to stay on top of it, and we got to, to me, if you're a Mason and you're hiding it, I think we have an understanding where you stand, and you don't stand for all of us. You ever think Shemaiah is slow boating your? Oh yeah. The question Carol says is, did you ever think Shemaiah is slow boating your ballot approval because she would be running for governor later? No, she can't run for governor now, and I really don't think she'll run for governor in the future because she's got an approval rating like Kate Brown. Okay. Yeah, there's a bunch of people that don't want me as governor because, well, I actually have real plans, and the actual plans that Oregonians want, and I'm not a politician. I'm ready to get in there and do the work and make it all happen. So if I got to drag them across the finish line, so be it. Let's see. Yeah, I know, Wilson. I think we all have. We're all at that point. So just stand by. See, Loma says, how about if we combine Democrats and Republicans into one group called Dumb Reps, Dim Reps, and then we have a constitutional party. That way we have two groups again. Yeah, not such a bad deal. Oh, thank you, Tammy. It's one thing is we're seeing with the Republicans and Democrats, we call it the uniparty, and in Oregon, that is in more effect probably than any state in the union. Seriously, this is where I believe the voting theft began and progressed. And right here in Oregon right now, and we know this, your county, way more people voted in your county than they have registered voters. Way more people voted in your county than even the census counted. Yeah, that's a problem. And the county clerks better be getting on this because they're the ones who are going to pay a price. Let's see. Yeah, we could be far right. Fascism's far right. No, it's not, people. Absolutely not. Loma says, I believe sometime back to Bed Bath and Beyond also came out against Trump. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I do remember this. Again, they have a bad habit of just going with the flow. It's kind of like the woke crowd. They go with the flow that they think is going to win, not because it's the right thing to do, just because they think it's going to win, prevail. And it's a poor choice. Let's see. 17-4. Got it. The band Mike Lindell, My Pillow. Okay, yeah. And it was in the Jenga building. Apparently this building looks like a big Jenga pile with different parts of it kind of pulled out at different stages. Yeah, kind of interesting. Hey, Dale, good to see you. Yeah, I'd like to think he will. We'll see what happens. Hey, I got a phone call and email into his producer. We'll see what happens. Needed a whole lot more than one. Gosh, you guys are funny. Let's see. Oh yeah, listen, yeah, same here. Department of Education needs to go away, and he knows it. I know it. We all know it, and that's what we're gonna have to do. And here in Oregon, the teachers union is gonna have to go too. The teachers union, it should be called the Students Education Union, right? That way you're about the students' education. And if you do that, you also want to have good teachers and get them paid accordingly. Here in Oregon, our teachers make bigger money than other states, and we are on the bottom of the list for the quality of education for our students. There's an inherent problem right there. Why should we be paying you for a substandard education for our students? Oh, and then on top of that, you want to make it easier so that you lower the standards. And the whole group that's involved in that, you're going to love that one too. We got that coming up. Let's see. Hey, Lisa. Hey, yeah, haven't you called Paul Romero? I know you got his number. Ask him. Okay, so let's go back over here. Okay, So this is something I thought was really important. And this is the only thing that Christine Drazen voted no on, which is a good thing, by the way. But the Oregon Catalyst recently reported that apparently they're quietly holding tax increase hearings that no one knows about. Who are they? It's called the Oregon Task Force on Universal Health Care, Senate Bill 770. Tina Kotek and Betsy Johnson voted in favor of this, along with some surprising others, which I was really surprised by. I will get into that. But and then there's the one that surprised me also is that Christine Drazen actually voted no. Now, in 2019, Oregon lawmakers voted to create the Oregon Task Force on Universal Health Care. It's SB 770. And it was to draft up a plan for free health care for all Oregonians. See where it's going? Nothing quite like a socialist state with socialized medicine, right? Yeah, not a good deal. We had Obamacare. We know how that's worked for everybody. It worked for some people, but not the rest of them. And you cannot spend and take everybody's money to pay for it. Okay? So the state government will replace all private insurers and abolish all company policies. That's what they're trying to do. So this universal health care promises free health care at no cost to anyone, including non-citizens, homeless, and people moving into the state. To pay for it, the task force has proposed a new Oregon income tax with the highest rate of 15%. Now, something that Tina Kotek, Betsy Johnson, and Christine Drazen have all said is that they're not going to change the current tax structure in Oregon. So they want to keep taxing you at this excessive rate, and they got taxes already waiting in the wings to throw on you in addition. So is Christine Drazen going to stop that, prevent it, or do it? She's going to say nothing. You don't know why? She's not going to do anything. She's a marshmallow, guys. She's not going to be able to handle this at all. Now, the national nonprofit, the Lund Report, has criticized the task force as it has worked quietly and has drawn scant attention for such an economic overhaul project, an enormous tax increase. That was a statement June 9th, 1922, right? Just recently. So very few Oregonians have any idea that there have been public meetings during the summer of 2022 when most people are on vacation to discuss abolishing your private health care and replacing it with a possible new 15% income tax. How about that? Anybody out there want to pay more income tax? No. Anybody? No. Oh, and by the way, do you really think that's going to guarantee your health care? Anybody? No. Okay. Yeah. See, this is a smart group. It's just remarkable. Now, Ben's newspaper, The Bulletin, actually criticized the task force for hiding the tax. I'm always surprised that every once in a while, one paper will come out with some actual information that's good and helpful to the population, with whatever story. I mean, the Oregonian ran the story about the secret Constitution Party of Oregon meetings held by certain people that excluded everybody else, but no other newspaper in Oregon picked that up. Isn't that odd? It's extremely odd. Not very surprising, but there you go. So, and the quote in the bulletin, by the way, said, the state should be frank about costs for universal health care. The new income taxes that families will pay aren't in the background documents for the meetings. They are hiding this, guys. Betsy Johnson, Tina Kotek, they know about it. They're hiding it. Christine Drazen knows about it. She's not talking about it. If she's not talking about it, why is that? Even though she voted no, can you trust her? The answer is no. She's not willing to talk about it in the public, to tell you what they're trying to do, even before she gets in office. Yeah, you can't trust her either. So I don't know if any of y'all have ever seen this. It's a Black Lives Matter flyer that they were kicking out to people. And this is like the worst racism I've ever seen. I mean, truly. Black Lives Matter, attention, white men, women, and children, you are the enemy. We will not stop until there are more white homicides than black. We will not stop until all white people are sent to re-education camps. We will not stop until white people pay extra taxes to support black individuals. We will not stop until black power runs all government. We will not allow any white person to date another race. We support no white-owned businesses. And hate is okay if it's directed at white families. Really? I like the name of the person that actually typed that up. Let's go deal with that one person. That's all we need to do. But the fact is this is bunk. There's no legitimacy to this at all. Can you imagine actually if every white person in America was just all of a sudden gone? State of Oregon, there wouldn't be much population left. But China would be okay with that. Keep that in mind. Let's see. So let me talk about the Black Lives Matter group, especially their leaders. One thing I can say about them is they're consistent. Seems they all subscribe to the philosophy of take the money and run. So another Black Lives Matter upper level administrator managed to siphon off upwards of $10 million from the group for his own personal finances. Now, I guess his paycheck wasn't cutting it. Now, other leaders managed to grab some serious coin and purchase a number of personal properties at the expense of the nonprofit organization. Millions of dollars worth of property, including, I think, in Hollywood and stuff. Anyway, this gentleman by the name of Melina Abdullah, and he founded the Los Angeles chapter of BLM, and he manages some of the group's grassroots efforts. He stated in a filing in Los Angeles Superior Court that Shaloma Bowers, the board secretary of Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, has used BLM as his personal piggy bank. Ouch. And has betrayed the public trust by self-dealing and breaching his fiduciary duties. Ooh, fiduciary. That sounds kind of familiar. I think we actually have some Constitution Party of Oregon recalled officers that have violated their fiduciary responsibilities and their breach of contract. Yeah. So anyway, this guy managed to push out other board members and steal control over the Global Network Foundation as the sole board member and officer. Well, Constitution Party of Oregon has 3 who are violating the public trust, breaching their fiduciary duties and contractual obligations. So who is that jumped from that Jenga building? Yeah, rhetorical question. Sometimes you just wish all the bad guys would actually just jump out of a building. Save the rest of us a whole lot of time and a whole lot of grief. Now, those in support of the thief or the theft, they also sought a defense claiming that they is funny. And you hear this lately too. You cannot continue spending all of our precious time and energy fighting and tearing each other down. That is using the oppressor's tools. Now I've heard this a lot lately. Okay. But we also recognize that this is a philosophy. It's being used as a get out of responsibility free card. Okay. So in other words, for all the stuff they've been doing, we're just going to just clean the slate and pretend like nothing happened. No. Because the people that were involved in everything we've dealt with, listen, I want real accountability, because if we don't, it's going to continue. It's just how it is. It's how these people operate. So no, there is going to be no get out of jail free cards, not on this side. Now, like I said, no accountability equals no deterrent. Okay, so the question then comes into, so why not join those who are breaking the law so we can all get away with it together? No, not doing that. So for all of you out there, we're at battle stations for the state of Oregon. We really are. So this has been a long, tough road, but it doesn't detract from the simple fact that we have to do what has to be done. And for me, I've been convicted of this. I have to do this. I cannot stop. We went to the Gathering of Eagles event on Saturday, and it was a good event, although I was a little disappointed in the turnout there. There should have been a lot more people there. Should have been packed. And we got there, and Jeff Krupp had invited me, actually called me and asked me, hey, you're going to be here, right? I'm like, yeah, we're planning on being there. He said, oh, good. He says, everybody's, we're just trying to make sure everybody's going to be chill. I said, oh, you have nothing to worry about from us. We're professional people. That's how we operate. I can't say that for anybody else. And so anyway, we got there, and I had someone that was going to be there for 8:00. And unfortunately, he wasn't quite able to get there on time for that. I told him where we wanted to get our table set up and everything. And so as we arrived at 9:30, I go in there, and there's our table waiting for us right where I wanted it. Right? Surprise. And what's funny is there's always people that try to say, oh, I'm neutral and all this. I'm neutral. Debbie Bosch. Yeah, you're not neutral. Stop lying. We all know you're not. Anyway, it was kind of funny because so we got in there and we started setting up our table, getting it all ready. And the question we overheard was, how did he get that spot? How did he get up here at the front? How did he get that? Thanks, God. The right opportunity, the right timing, the right everything. That's how it happens for us. And I thank God for that, you know. And what's funny is all the dirty looks we got from the people that kept passing us by. And of course, Ma Barker was there too. Yeah. Her strutting like a pimp that, yeah, packing. Yeah, she had to be, she's carrying her sidearm, you know, because she's got to be safe. Yeah, there's everybody out to get her. And so she's strutting back and forth in front of our booth and with her super pimp walk that she does. It's kind of funny if you ever see it. But yeah, that's what we're dealing with. And it's petty. It's so ridiculous. But this is the kind of stuff we've had to deal with for 6 months. 6 months! These people have no lives because all that's been done is spent against myself and my wife. Kind of ridiculous. Yeah, I know. But that is what's going on. But know this. No, we're not quitting. We're not giving up. And as a writing candidate, let me tell you what, Oregon is primed. We are set at that point. We're at that tipping point for the whole state. And nobody wants to vote for the 3 versions of Kate Brown 2.0. And Donna's isn't even on the map at all. So don't even worry about her. If she gets in front of a crowd, talks for more than a few minutes, she's already lost them. And if she gets an hour, their ears will start to bleed. Yeah. So, and people are figuring this out about her. So that makes it easy, not to worry. In the meantime, we're still going to get attacks from, convicted felons. We know that because that's all they got. They have no substance. They have no evidence to prove anything they've said. Nothing. They have nothing. Yet, we have evidence. Yeah, we do. No, they don't. It's not there. So ask them for their evidence when they hit you with something. In the meantime, what are we going to do? It's really simple, guys. We have a flyer that's out there, and we'll be posting it all over the dang place. Ask that you just spread the word. If you can print out a flyer, post it at your work, post it in any public community thing, whatever, please do so. If you know people, send them to the website. We'll be putting up more things there, as well as the candidate statements, because if they're not going to be in the voter's guide, we got to have them somewhere. That's what we're going to do. At least it's fair, right? Because Lord knows we're not getting a fair shake in this election. We have been fought tooth and nail, all kinds of opposition to prevent just getting on the ballot from being a candidate. And by the way, that violates an actual law too. That's the 260.665, undue influence against the candidate or a candidacy. And a number of people, including people in the Secretary of State's office, are guilty of it. So frustrating, but that's what we get to deal with. We're just going to push through, let God guide us here and make it work. In the meantime, let's see what else we got over here. 13, don't you wonder who actually voted September 6th? Steering committee going on for 19. Yeah, let me tell you what, Dina, we know they've all been actually electing themselves. Yeah, they. it's really weird. They actually broke away from the National Party, Constitutional Party of Oregon, because they were the philosophy of zero abortions for any reason, no matter what. And the fact that the main party would say, well, under the circumstances for the detriment of the mother's survival of the mother. And I think that's really about it. But it wasn't a major difference here, okay? And then the other thing was this group wanted to control it. It was all about their own tyranny and control of the party. And they've been controlling it for over 20 years. It's not operated like a real party, to be quite frank. And we have certain questions about Secretary of State, what they're going to do in that regard, too. They may just shut it down. Yeah, I know. It's a real possibility. Let's see. Yeah, with Independent America. So they're not really the Constitution Party, are they? That's right. So, yeah, that's a problem. Ballot measure 114 will be on the ballot. Yes. Drazen is 23%. Yeah. See, here's the thing, guys, with Drazen. She got 23% of the vote. That means she lost 77% of the vote. 77% of Republicans don't want to vote for her. Let's give them another candidate. Let's give them another U.S. Senate candidate other than Wyden. I'm sure they prefer that. Okay, because I'll tell you right now, Michael Stetler, he can run circles around all those clowns. Not even worried about it. Let's see what else. And the thing is, with that, we can also win. I know we can win the NAV vote. So the NAV vote and the Republican vote is what we're going to focus on. And anything else is going to be icing on the cake. But I know that we can secure 40, 50% in that realm and win this race. Okay. But it's going to take everybody. And I'm going to need you to put stuff on your windshields. I'm going to need you to make that extra effort, please. And as we get funds in for signage, maybe you got a truck, you want to build a framework and put that in your truck and drive around everywhere you go, sign me up for that. Hey, Carol, good to see you. Oh, no, Donna Smith has never supplied her DD-214. So let me tell you what I believe. From what we've been able to figure out and talking to other administrative people, we do have their military records coming in so we can confirm all that. And I warned them, I'm going to find the truth and I'm going to publish the truth because it is public knowledge. And we know for a fact that she only had 4 years active duty Army, only 4, not 8 like she claims. She only had 4. So what that means is she only has 1 DD-214. All her other duty in the National Guard, it falls under an NGB 22. Okay. And she should know this, but she's never mentioned NGB 22. And then she tells us how she has 6 or 7 DD-214s. Well, the thing is, if you're an active duty person, you know exactly how many you have. It's not just 5, 6, or 7 or something like that, or 28. I don't know. You know, I have 2. 1 for 4 years and 1 for 6. See Kathleen Bashir. Get me an email address and I'll get you a flyer. Okay. Because I've been sending them out to a lot of people. So, and like I said, just put them everywhere. Just get them everywhere and then let people know where to go. It's got the website information on there. It's got phone numbers on there so they can call the candidates. We are not messing around here. So the main approach we're going to have, besides just the grassroots spreading the wave, and then we'll be traveling around, by the way, but is also a major sign campaign. And every sign you're going to see with, say no to all the above and vote, go the no party, write-in vote. There you go. We're going to push that hard. And if you find my name on the ballot, you can just fill out that little circle. If you don't, you can write it in. And that's how we're going to push it. So it'll be a lot of signage all over the state, and then we'll move into the commercials and all that. And make it my new back photo. Cool. Thank you, Jojo. I appreciate that. All right. So does anybody have any other questions for me this evening? We'll go into the little Q&A here. Anything goes. That's the rules here in the Lion's Den. You got it, Wilson. I'll send that to you too. Get a running list here. And let's see. And all you got to do is you can instant message me your email address. That way you don't have to make it public here. That'll be fine, Jojo. But yeah, the thing is, we can do this. And for me, I had one person that was complaining. Said, "Well, you're from a small town, and you're a nice boy from a small town, and that's you shouldn't be fighting like this." And okay, let me tell you something. That small town boy that left Prineville back in 1984 went off to college on his own and survived for a year on Domino's Pizza, working 3 part-time jobs just to stay in school. And I didn't have the time to go partying and do all that stuff. So when I got done with that year, I was getting a little bit too thin in the skin, and I learned about the GI Bill. So I joined the Navy for the GI Bill initially and went back home for a summer. Fought forest fires here in Oregon, loved every minute of it, got in great shape. And then December 30th, 1985, got to Portland. They flew me to Orlando, and that began one of my adventures. And it was awesome. I wouldn't trade my 10 years in the Navy for nothing. But something else you're going to remember is that you're going to realize people who've actually been in the military, they really don't talk about it a whole lot at all. Donna Smith talks about it all the time because it's all she has, it's all she is. But the thing is, it's all the stuff she has that nobody really knows about. It's very difficult for people to confirm what she says. And she has the ability to show it, just like I did with Rogue Splice, right? I actually provided him my DD214s, other documents, and my medals. Here it is. And there's my medals on my DD214. He's like, well, that was easy. I'm like, yeah. So I don't understand what her problem is by not showing that information. And then she says, well, I can't believe somebody's questioning my military career. It's exactly why we're questioning it, because we think you're lying. And I think we're going to find out some things you don't want anybody to know. They're going to find out just how badly she was lying. We don't need people in office that's how they're going to be straight out of the chute. We got to be able to trust people. And for me, just finding people that will actually get in there and do the work, do the heavy lifting, that's hard enough. Finding a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout, that's tougher too. But they exist. And for me, they throw every piece of spaghetti at the wall, trying to stick it to my wife and I, and none of it stuck. That's good. That's all right. Let's see. Ark of Grace Ministries will be interviewing Eric Trump and Clay Clark very soon. As she has confirmation on the latest video, I'm going to submit questions. Oh, hey, thank you for that, Dina. That's going to be for Eric Trump and Clay Clark. Yeah, see, I met Clay Clark, and Oksana met Clay Clark too. Oh, yeah. She put the thumb screws to him. She waited for everybody else to finish talking to him and everything else. And then she walked up to him and said, hello, Mr. Clark. And she pegged him to the wall, and he didn't even know what to say. It was priceless, truly. It was awesome. But I'll let her tell you about that. Let's see. It's the Ark of Grace. Ark of Grace - Ministry. Yeah, I'm really curious about her prediction for Oregon, that there's major changes, unforeseen changes going to happen here in Oregon. And it sounds like it's good stuff. So hopefully I'm going to be actually part of that. Thank you, Wilson. I you know what? I know God's on my side. I do. But my problem right now has been trying to see his full plan. It's like, boy, he's taken us right to the razor's edge, but see, that's what confirms a miracle, right? Yeah. He's going to make this in grand fashion. I'll definitely send her a couple questions, and maybe it'll make it to Eric. Hurry and get it in. Watch Amanda. Pastor, see message Dave and Amanda to make sure they know Oregon votes for Paul. Thank you so much, Carol. Thank you. Mr. South, a little lost. Hey, Barry. Canned homemade salsa and making the tomato sauce now. Sweet. Remember, there's never enough oregano. Okay, what else can I kind of share with you? Well, the good news is tomorrow, this is a holiday, I made it a point not to make any real phone calls today because I have all kinds of people on my team. I know everybody's kind of been just exhausted. Shauna Vandervat, boy, she really needed a break. She took a break yesterday and said, it was so great to not be on the phone at all. I was like, that. I've been trying to kind of back off for everybody because I know it's been a long haul, but we're not done. And we only have 2 months to go. 2 months. That's it. We can burn it out. We can knock this out and make it happen. And I can't wait to get to the other side. But in the interim, we just have to 1 foot in front of the other. But like I said, guys, I'm going to repeat myself over and over again. It takes all of you, every single one of you. So please do your part to help me save Oregon. That's all I ask. So with that said, I want to say thank you all for being here. And, for us right now here, Oregon Warriors, we're at our battle stations. All hands, man your battle stations. This is not a drill. This week, we'll be securing the funding we will need to cover the campaign, whether we are on the ballot, as it should be, or if we have to do the write-in campaign. Either way, we're doing the same thing, actually, but it'll adjust to how we do our signage, but it won't change our travels. So we'll still be traveling the state. Start looking for that. We'll be posting that calendar and that schedule. So if we're going to be in your area, you want to reach out. And if you know people in the areas we're going to, call them, contact them. help us get a kind of a lead team in there, and that'd be great. Okay, you guys got the number 458-256-9437. 458-256-9437. And just a lot of great things going on, guys. So now we already covered that. Oh, yeah. Something that's really important. This came out on Betsy Johnson, July 8th, 2022. Questionable ethics undermine Betsy Johnson's claim to support government accountability. Betsy Johnson is a liar when it comes to government accountability. If you believe that, boy, I got a swamp to sell you with a bridge on it in Louisiana. And in 2007, Johnson admitted to ethics violations after she failed to report profits from a land sale, right? Now, the Government Standards and Practices Commission, they investigated her, and basically there's a parcel next to the Scappoose Airport. It was sold 3 months after she purchased it for a $119,000 increase in value, okay? And the legislation she sponsored gave special access to landowners with property next to the airports. Yeah, this is Betsy Johnson, 2007, an attorney, by the way. 2008, she was under criminal investigation by the FBI after admitting to violation of state ethics laws. Okay. She also tried to use legislative immunity to fight a lawsuit for a traffic accident that she was a part of in 2013. Okay. Now, she also, on her website, claims that she wants to hold government accountable. Okay, Betsy, how about this? How about we hold you accountable first, and then we'll consider maybe possibly letting you hold the rest of government accountable, which you can actually do even now, right? So would you trust Betsy Johnson to hold government accountability, right? Yeah, I don't. And neither should you. And for Tina Kotek, listen, she's been shadowing Kate Brown. She's already preparing for this governor spot. She's been getting the inside track in that regard. That definitely has to be a no-go in a big way. And when it comes to Christine Drazan, no, she's going to be that pushover, squishy marshmallow. She's being controlled. She's going to be run. She's going to be directed. It's one thing I can tell you. The only person directing me is going to be all of you, Oregon voters. That's who I'm there to represent, period. And it's going to be very unpopular amongst those people that have been on the gravy train for how many years. And the people that have managed to avoid accountability. And so keep that in mind. In the meantime, oh, by the way, Barry, I tried to get hold of Tim Cast and send him an email. I managed to get one sent, but every time I tried to send like another one to some other part of it there, it wouldn't go through. So it's like nothing's kind of working on his website. I don't know if they're just getting too many emails. Who knows? Could be a lot of things. But so I've made the effort. I've tried. I got one through, but I haven't got a response yet. So I think they're getting inundated by emails. I mean, even sometimes for me, I get so many emails, I have to go back through them, and I get back to them whenever I can to try to catch them all up. But I know he gets probably way more than me. So I can imagine what that's like. All right, folks. Well, hey, thank you for being here. I hope you guys have a great Labor Day. I guess it's tomorrow. So been a long week, guys, but we made it. We're here. We're still alive and kicking. And that's how it's going to be all the way through the end. Then we're going to get a month break before we get into the governor's seat. And then it's going to be on like Donkey Kong. And just watch all the rats come flying out of Salem. Oh, yeah. Because the rat hunter is coming. All right, guys. Well, hey, thank you so much for being here. Y'all have a great night. God bless each and every one of you and your families. And remember, never give up, never surrender.